Hey folks, it's Glenn with the Cactus Atlas, and today I'm camping at Kayenta Campground at Dead Horse Point State Park, right outside of Canyonlands. So I've arrived at my campsite here, Site 7, for those of you keeping count, at Kayenta Campground at Dead Horse Point State Park. And there's a thunderstorm, or just storms all over here with lightning. Probably not the wisest thing for me to be standing out here, because being on canyon rims, they say, and they say it in the booklet they give you, is a dangerous place to be when there's lightning. My big concern coming in here was this going to be drenched? And seeing this now, this would be a muddy mess. Oh, and as I say that, I felt a raindrop on my back of my calf. You gotta be kidding me. Enough dilly-dallying, let's get on with it. I'm gonna give you a tour of my campsite, site number 7 here at Kayenta Campground, and then we'll do a walk around and we'll look at some of the other sites, and I'll tell you what I like and dislike. So this right here in a nutshell is a very standard site here. Very long driveway. Could get like 3 of my GMC Acadias in there. But very quaint and very well done. So the positives first. I did get a site with electric hookups, and I was wondering, can you actually hook up like standard like AC powered things to this, and which voltage do you use? Oh, I bet you it's that right there. Okay, cool. So I can like use this to power crap, which is one thing that I thought would be nice on a trip where I've otherwise been without electricity. Okay, so that's not entirely true, because I've had a thing called a Jackery that I've been charging up and recharging all of my electronics and batteries. So I do bring power on the road, but it's nice to have an option for something here I could just bloop, plug into. Okay, so each site has a fire ring. These are nicer than the average ones. I would say you got your attached crate thingy, but it's raised off the ground, probably about 6 inches, which I think is a safety feature. Another thing I like is when you have a campsite that also has like a raised grill like this, which also I don't think you're allowed to use charcoal right now, so you want to bring propane as your best option, where that's almost always universally allowed, or I've never seen it not allowed yet. And then you got your picnic table, aluminum. I like the thinner ones like this, because if you have like a tablecloth, the clips will usually fit on that, and that would work here. So I'll be able to use my little tablecloth. But the tables are very clean, like immaculately clean. Usually there's bird crap all over them and spider webs, so I wonder if the housekeeping here keeps things tidy, because I don't even see spider webs or anything. So I'm gonna share a secret with you here. I was stumbling around trying to locate how to turn this thing on, and I figured it out. So I was amazed to see it to begin with, like a built-in light here in the pavilion, this covered thing. I was confused, and I looked in the gray electric box, wondering if they somehow wired a switch to it that way, and I was like, oh, this is just, maybe it was an old feature that they removed. And it was really hard to spot it, actually. But on this pole over here, so you got this weird light thing here, and then you're going to, it's set to off, then you just click, and then look at this, you get light right at your campsite. Now, so far you're probably thinking the same thing as me, like this is a pretty nice campground, and you would be right. It's just very well manicured, very well planned and thought out. However, that being said, let's focus on something that I very much dislike. So imagine me here grilling burgers, just hanging out, and then like right here, although you do have a tree kind of obstructing some of the sight lines, my main point is that these sites are so close together. So close. And you've got it on both sides. Now this side, I do like how they have these trees here, so that's cool. But still, I mean, there's the tent there, tent pad. Here's mine. And if I turn this way, I mean, like this is where my tent will be at. So the thing I dislike about it most is I fear that I snore loud, and it's embarrassing. Anyway, we could study site number 8 right from the comfort of my site, my driveway. Same thing, they got electric hookups here too in this part of the campground. There's another section that does not that we'll look at, but same idea. You got your tent pad and very well put together. Looks like they have the light built in and everything, so, and firing. Beautiful, beautiful sites. I will give them that. Before it starts getting busy and people get creeped out by seeing some guy with a camera hanging up by the restrooms, let's go check out the restrooms because they're right next to my site. Far enough away for me to be comfortable, but I'm gonna show you something here because there's something I really love about these too. They have unisex restrooms here and each person gets their own individual bathroom, which at a campground, having privacy like that is through the roof, really, if you want to ask me. So you get full running water, little trash can in here, very clean toilets. I've already been in these and have been given a look already. Haven't seen anything dirty. You got hand soap and a very clean sink. And this is another necessity, I would say, when you're camping like me and you do your own cooking. Like I'm gonna be heating up some soup tonight, or chili. And having a place to wash your dishes is pretty sweet. The only thing they don't have are showers. If they had showers here, this would be the best campground ever. All right, so I'm gonna do a quick walk around and just kind of call the bluff on the weather. And we'll take a look at some other sites. Now, some of them are already occupied, so I'm not going to be nosy, but I'll probably give you a look at some of the rigs and things in here so you can get an idea of what you could fit. Ooh, Site 13. I'm kind of digging, actually. So maybe make a note of this. We'll see if my thoughts hold true, but very nice privacy. So I stayed in the crowded section, apparently, because once you get past that, things spread out way more. So I wish I knew that. I don't even remember what was available when I made the reservation. It's possible that there weren't many choices. That's probably what it was. But Site 13, look at this. You got your little temple back here to place your tent, like off back in these pinyon pines. In fact, you know, this rating system that Amy and I kind of devised, when I see something I really like, I like to assign it a rating. My gut says 5 cacti, but I'm comparing it against some of the sites that I saw at other campgrounds, like the Devil's Garden campground, which we made a video on, by the way. So it's hard to say a 5 because, you know, you do have some clear lines of sight to people here. I'm gonna go with a 4. I don't think I'm allowed to do halves. If I'm allowed to do halves, I'm gonna do 4.5. If it's gonna be whole numbers, then 4. And it pains me to say that. Like, this one has really good privacy. Site 19, make a note. Probably some of the best privacy that I've seen thus far because there's nobody behind you now. And your tent pad, if you're a tent camper. So this one would be my other, like, really good choice. Whatever one I said earlier was at 13. This one's I would say my second favorite. Or maybe they're tied, I don't know. Oh, well, I just noticed something though. There is a tent down that way. So that lessens it just a tad, but still, you could face your tent this way and probably use your tent to block the view. Ooh, and I just noticed this. This site has a bonus. There's 2 tent pads. So, looky there. So if you've got a group, this might be like a miniature group campground. I dig it. Okay, and this is Site 21, and this one's got some uniqueness to it also. First of all, you got your electric hookups. I think every site has had that I've seen, so we'll assume the whole place has got it. Very super long driveway. Probably get a Class 8 size thing back here, no problem, I would have to imagine. And you get your same amenities, except for whatever reason, you get 2 tent pads here also on this one. You get the one over here right by the covered awning, which is a little not as private because you're kind of on these loops where people are going to be driving. And back here you've got your more private tent pad. So this would be where I'd set my tent up. So I think by now you get the sentiment, and if I see anything that trumps the other two that I already pointed out, I'll let you know, but so far everything else is on equal footing, I would say. Well, my area, very crowded. Everything else around that loop, about equal. Try to avoid my site and the neighboring ones if you want more privacy. And it's a tiny loop, so you can see you only got, what, like 22 sites total if you include the campground host, so 21 is more accurate, I would say. All right, I finally set my tent up. I haven't seen another single tent camper yet. Doesn't mean that there's not going to be any, but there is a campground more conducive to tent campers not far from here that we'll take a peek before the end of this episode. I think the next order of business is for me to settle down. It's 7:07 p.m. Start making dinner, like make some chili or some canned good that I have, which isn't going to be exciting to film, to be honest. And then I'm going to just get in there to bed, go clean myself up in one of those bathrooms and try to get to bed pretty early so I can wake up super early to make more videos for you. Okay, so I am now at Dead Horse Point Overlook, the main attraction here. Why the people come. What is this? This is the Basin Overlook. So I'm going to start with that because I'm going to assume Dead Horse Point Overlook is the main attraction. And right here is the first glimpse. Holy crap. I don't believe what I see. I think this is the perfect light. If it could be a little less hazy, but oh my God. The breath just came out. So folks, this is what the price of admission gets you here at Dead Horse. I have some information about why they call it Dead Horse Point too that I'll share later, but I don't want to spoil the moment. I love when moments are like this where I don't have to try and it's just so easy to film. Anything I take a picture of here I think is going to be magic because of the light. One of the very beautiful features of this region is this river that's meandering its way through these canyons. I'm assuming it's the Green River, but if I'm wrong about that, it would either be that or the Colorado River. And you can just see whatever it is continues to carve its way through the landscape of pure heaven. And the trail, just probably a helpful note for folks if you're in a wheelchair or something. They do have paved segments, but then you encounter these breaks in the rocks. So I don't know, you could probably only go so far down to this loop, for example, but they did take some of that into mind here. Yeah, you just very casually and slowly walk along the rim, and your mind melts the whole time. This here, I assume, is the Dead Horse Point proper. And like, you don't think it can get any better. But number one, they built shade here, frickin' pavilions. That's where your money's going, folks, and it's well spent. Dude, this is the Mac Daddy of all overlooks in the United States, I'm calling it. Welcome to Dead Horse Point proper. I caught a whiff of river. That seems far-fetched, but maybe because it's such a hazy day and it rained a lot, maybe all the moisture is like mixing together and lifting scents up from the river, or maybe it's a mirage of my mind. And right there, just watch that river. It just keeps going. So I guess this is the official rim trail, like a quarter of a mile or something like that, not bad. So I'm going up to the pinnacle point, I think. I mean, I wish I knew how to do photography better. That's my only regret, because this seems like a waste, you know, with my skills. I need to get better skills. Every twist and turn presents something like brand new. Holy crap. You can even see the road that we drove down from Island in the Sky, I believe. This is like one of the best moments of the year for sure. Like, I don't even know what to say. The only thing I can say is that I feel like I'm on top of the world here. I don't know if the rain earlier or the remote location chased people off. There are so few here to enjoy this. Meaning, as usual, I get whole sections to myself. So not as popular as Arches National Park, but this view is better than anything I've seen in that whole place. And that's saying a lot, actually, because Arches is amazing. I wish I could like trade brains for a moment with that bird down there and glide over this while listening to Iron Maiden. And I think I called this right. One would think you might want to be here like around sunset, but like the sunset time, but because, you know, there are mountains and things on the other side, the further the sun goes down, even though it's not like official sunset, I bet it's not as pretty. Or maybe it is. Maybe it just gets better and better, because it certainly seems to be at this point. It's crazy how it went from a miserably rainy day this morning to this. It all is okay now. I was really stressing about that earlier. And I'm guessing that's a host, so I really don't see many folks camping out here. I'd say it's not as nice, it's more exposed. Maybe is a better way to put it, which if you like exposed, this might be okay, but you do get pavilions, so. And here are those yurts you can rent. They have fire rings in front of them. They're in a very beautiful setting. Amy, would that be a compromise one day? Would you stay in something like that and call it camping? I want to get a closer look, but that would be wrong. I think that would be like looking in someone's home and peeping Tom style with a camera to boot. I think this is the tent-only site or area, so I want to focus on this for my fellow tent campers that do it that way. Not that there's anything wrong with doing it that way, because believe me, the older I get, that's looking a lot more my speed these days. Okay, so this is interesting, and I don't know what I think. So this is an accessible site. Oh, maybe that's why. At first it didn't really register that it was accessible, I think, but I was wondering why that's raised, but maybe it's because you could like put a ramp up to it or something like that. I've never seen that, because the other ones here are not. They're very similar in style to what I have at my campsite. And basically for these are walk-in sites, and you don't have to walk far, but there are a bunch of parking spots right out there, so you'd have to haul your gear in, I think. Let's look at a couple of these, but I'm not going to do an extensive deep dive here. Okay, so I think this is site 27. And one thing I do like is you got a big tent pad, but I do like how you really got that wall. It's a little bit higher, it's concrete, and it's kind of connected to this structure. So a little bit different style. I do dig it, and it looks like you might have other folks there though. I assume that's the neighboring campsite's tent pad. So you're still gonna have privacy challenges in this one. And this is the other tent site, I think 26. Amy will correct me if I'm wrong. I'm tired. You have to forgive me. The same layout basically, so I'm assuming this is really the same layout across the board that you're gonna see in this area. But if you wanna, I guess, distance yourselves away from generators and things like that, these are probably a good bet. Would I camp here in this campground? Sure, for sure. I actually do like it. I do like the layout and how our campground seems to be a little bit in Kayenta, a little bit more in the woods. But like I said, there's some downsides with the privacy. And I was right, 26 and 27. And the one over here, whatever number that is, probably 28, I think is occupied. So that one's even further down a path. And off in the distance, you can see the La Salle Mountains. Same ones you can see from Arches, and the same ones that always have clouds gathering at the top. All that cool air to pull out the moisture out of the sky. All right, I'm now heading back towards the campground. I got the sun now. Hit me hard, but there's Kayenta right there. Should be able to see the many RVs and campers, and the yurts over here are where Wingate are, very close together. All right, well, I'd say we did a really good exploration of Dead Horse Point State Park. Everything here was awesome. You saw the overlooks, that was the highlight for me. Both campgrounds are beautiful, so I could recommend any of them. I would lean towards the more private sites that I pointed out because privacy is a very big issue in certain sites like the one that I got. But I still really enjoyed it, so it shouldn't deter you from coming out here, and you get really good close access to Canyonlands Island in the Sky right down the road, and the views in both places will blow your mind. So anyway, you got the Cactus Atlas stamp of approval for me. See you next time.